So for those of us or those of the Ebony audience who don't know you, could you introduce yourself a little bit? You grew
You
up
mean you don't know me? I'm just kidding.
you grew up in Cape
I'm from
Town?
South Africa.
Yeah.
I'm from South Africa, born in Cape Town. But I was raised throughout Africa. Cape Town was just like a base. I would call it a base because every other city I grew up in, Johannesburg, Durban, Pretoria, Swaziland, Namibia. So, because I lived on the road, and I'd come home periodically just to say hi to my parents and then scoot off.
Right, so you toured when you were younger.
Mm-hmm.
Without your parents?
Without my parents, yes.
What was that like, and how did you get into music?
I got into music actually because of my parents. In my community, there was Malay choirs and carnival, and my parents were in carnivals and Malay choirs. So I started singing early on in Malay choirs and in carnivals, and then cabaret, local jazz clubs in Cape Town. And then from there, I was discovered and by a musical play and called the Golden City Dixies, and they were a touring company that did Broadway in South Africa, in different cities. So I auditioned at 7 years old and got the part, and I was on the road. That was how it all started. And then 13 years old, I got discovered again by another Jive Records in South Africa. They signed me to record, and I became a recording artist at sort of 1974. Became a recording artist, and I'm still making records today.
Yeah, and at that time you did a cover of Please Stay by Burt Bacharach?
Yes, Burt Bacharach, Please Stay was also recorded by the Drifters. And it's kind of like a full circle story, me coming, doing that at singing Please Stay at 12 years old. And now I'm actually recording, I just recorded the entire
album.
Burt Bacharach and Hal David catalog of music. Do you know the way the San Jose, Say a Little Prayer, Alfie, A House Is Not a Home. Oh my gosh, all those great songs, Close to You, This Guy's in Love. Amazing songs.
Right, so for the album, it's kind of a tribute to Bacharach and Hal David, right?
Yeah, and kind of a tribute to my wife. We just got married in January.
Okay.
And who's kind of been a real inspiration for the song Close to You, which triggered the album, So she's also playing on the record, like she plays the violin on the album, and so it's a really kind of a, life is like this all the time,
Right, it's like you came full circle, right?
Yeah.
And this is also your 23rd album. What are the differences now, do you think, that you have when you record music as opposed to when you were 12 and 13?
Man, it's a big difference, man. When I was 12, you made a record a day. You made one album a day. You recorded 12 songs or 14 songs that day. And about a month later, you'll be touring. And, today you have the luxury of computers, and you can take 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, maybe a year, For me, when I'm writing an album, when I'm done with the album, my studio becomes a storehouse. It turns off. I just live. I don't go back to writing. But nowadays it's, people think of genres, styles, and different kind of formats, whereas I don't really have that kind of approach to making records or writing. It's just when I got married, this album, particularly this album, was more of the love stories were more appropriate for me to sing about today than me singing about the blues. I'm not going to sing about my divorce. So I sang about love songs that actually has true relevance to me now. Close to You is This Guy's in Love. It's relevant to me and my where I am in my journey right now. So that's why I loved the thought of doing somebody's. I could have written a whole record on my own, but it was not what I was feeling like because my emotions were not gearing me to write, about loss or abandonment or betrayal or, you know what I mean? What you write about when you fall out of love. So this album actually kind of makes me happy. It's a happy moment in my career because now I get to sing these songs that people know from my generation. So when I perform it, they all sing along with it. They sing what the world is. The entire audience on Saturday night in Wisconsin, there was like 5,000 people singing every word to these songs on Walking By. I was like, wow, this is like totally rock star kind of vibe where you don't actually need to sing. But now it's like very different. It's, I'm doing like a Christmas CD right now. So I'm really like going to like Nat King Cole's earlier records, Deck the Halls and, We Three Kings. But I'm making it more like a Jonathan South African Christmas album. So it's more like a Christmas feeling from Africa as opposed to a US Christmas album. So I kind of treat every album very differently. It's always blank canvas. It's never like, oh, I got to write for smooth jazz radio, or I got to write for Christian radio. I don't think so. I feel like that's not really the way I treat the way I love music. I love music,
And I think you can hear that on this album because as I was listening to it, I was like, there's so many different layers of things here.
Yeah.
And you also put your own fingerprint on all of the songs you covered, right? And then so interestingly enough, I was bopping along to Say a Little Prayer. So I wanted to ask you about that song specifically because I know usually when I hear that song, I always think of Aretha Franklin. So
Yeah.
Did that intimidate you at all or was like...
I was intimidated by Aretha's version, Luther Vandross' version of A House Is Not a Home. And I was like, it's just no way that I can really outdo these versions because Luther just, first of all, Luther made it sound like it was his song. Like he wrote it, and most fans think that, Luther probably wrote it. And the same thing with Aretha Franklin, Say a Little Prayer. But then here I come with my South African flavor, and I kind of do like this thing, and that's just home. And I was like, this is where I need to be. And now I'm more conscious of actually being who I am in this big industry in the United States. I'm actually more conscious about it, that I stay true to my own identity and carve that out. I might take me a little longer, might take people a little longer to catch on because, if you listen to smooth jazz radio, I'm sorry to say it, but a lot of these guys sound all the same to me. It's like I'm listening to one long song, when I'm in my car and I put on Watercolors, I'm like, gosh, is this the same song I just heard before? So it's very it's become like a thing for me now. I'm like, try and stay in that place so that it's you, And so I took Say a Little Prayer, did the same way, and I try to treat Do You Know the Way to San Jose, Also, one of my favorite is, just the treatment is I'll Never Fall in Love Again, Because I just thought, man, this is so Africa. This is so bring it on. And African music, African rhythms, African dance has crossed over to the US. It's in urban radio and in hip hop and you name it, in house music. Our grooves have taken hold here, I mean, you can't listen to the radio without thinking, I heard that in Joburg. You know what I mean? I heard those kind of grooves in Soweto, Yeah.